Payday 2 Update 210. This small update comes with some balance changes, and it is evident that they are looking for player feedback. Payday community loves buffs of any kind, so I will try to be as objective and honest as I can. I will first talk about the changes in place, give my thoughts on it, propose alternative changes if necessary, and share the builds that I use. Also, I just want to point that out that I am a part of the Death Sentence community. I consistently play Death Sentence, even though mostly casually. Know and play with high level players, and know or aware of nearly every mechanic in the game. And if you want to balance your game out, you should listen to the top players as much as possible. Now that I sounded like a complete dipshit, we can start digesting to what happened here. What I will be touching on in this video will be my feedback. If you want further discussions, drop down to the comments below. With that out of the way, let's get started with the changes. Starting off with the lesser of the changes, shotgun pellet reduction. Shotguns across the board, aside from double barrels, had their pellet count reduced. I tested Brothers Grimm with buckshot, Grimm with Dragon's Breath rounds, izhma with buckshot and Dragon's Breath rounds, Judge with flechette rounds. I see no difference, this changes nothing. It is theoretically a nerf, but they will still kill hordes very efficiently. While this is theoretically a nerf, it is also theoretically a buff when fighting bulldozers. Shotgun mechanics in Payday series is kinda different to most shooters. Landing multiple rounds on the same target doesn't do more damage to the same target. If a pellet hits the head, it counts as a headshot and rest is ignored. But they have problems against bulldozer faceplates because of this very reason. Faceplates don't count as a head, so if you land multiple pellets on a dozer to break the faceplate, game looks if you hit the head, which you didn't, then picks a random pellet to deal damage. So if the game decides that the pellet on the bulldozer toe counts, you won't be damaging the faceplate. So it is a theoretical buff and a theoretical nerf, while in practice it changes nothing. Now on to the next change. Low damage assault rifle damage buff. Overkill classifies 150 ammo and 200 plus ammo rifles as the same class, but I won't be. First ones I'm going to touch on is 200 plus ammo rifle changes. Every weapon in this class have their damage up from 40-ish to 50-ish. I think this is unnecessary. Damage wasn't the main problem with these guns, believe me. Their only weakness was bulldozers, and you can bring a high damage SMG for it anyway. Main problem they have is how inaccurate they are. Just look into my recent solo with JP36 rifle. I had so much trouble with a single sniper. This thing is an assault rifle, it should hit stuff at range. In that solo, I didn't compensate it to the gun's low damage output against bulldozers with a high damage SMG, which would have made the solo go much smoother by the way, but it was a relatively easy map, so I was fine with bringing a mediocre build. So I say revert to the damage buff and give it a universal plus 8 accuracy buff, which means plus 2 in the code. This will make them more usable at range and giving them a higher versatility. By the way, this damage buff does nothing for these guns, and I mean it. This build with Valkyria and Tatanka backup still does a very good job at killing stuff, and I didn't notice the damage difference at all. And I use this gun, by the way, probably more than any of you. Next is the 150 ammo assault rifle damage buff. This buff lets you get the 64 damage breakpoint with ease. This means you can consistently get 2 to 4 taps against regular units with most rifles. I don't mind this change at all actually. This is only a buff if you aim for the head. If you are using these guns on a body expertise setup, higher damage doesn't make a difference. So it is good and rewarding for those that can aim well or don't want to use body expertise to spend points elsewhere. Overall, nice change. No complaints here. One thing to mention before I go to the more controversial changes is that Car 4 and AK rifle DMR kits have extra damage than other DMRs. This is probably unintended, so overkill, please fix. Wait, it got fixed before I record the script. Never mind then. There are 3 outliners of this general overview of the AR changes as a whole. These are Gecko, Lions Roar, and Bootleg. Starting with the Bootleg changes. It got a huge damage buff and reload speed increase, but concealment is nerfed. This gun is basically a KSP sidegrade now. It is ridiculous. It is ammo efficient by itself, does lots of damage with 100 round magazine, and you can use low blow with it even with the concealment nerf. Overall, I think it should be a true KSP sidegrade that you can use with low blow with it, which is a niche that we still don't have access to some reason. So here's my proposed changes. Reduce the concealment to 9, buff the base accuracy by 12, which means 3 in the code, and move it to the LMG section of the weapon buy menu. When you compare it to 80 damage LMG, you will have a lot less total ammo, rate of fire, which means less DPS, and less accuracy. But you can reload it fast, have higher stability, and can use low blow with it if you tinker with it enough. With its current state, however, I could pair it with a 5.7 with both guns pressed, without optical illusions aced, and still get the max benefit from low blow and sneaky bastard. This should change so player base have to make their builds more restrictive to get the benefits. Now, on to the Gecko and Lions Roar. These 2 guns got similar buffs, so I will get my feedback on them after I went through the builds I tested them with. Starting with Gecko rifle. I tested this on a crook build with unseen ace and 2-shot armor with HPV. And yes, you need to mod the gun to the exact same way I did for this build to work. With this specific mod selection and 80 Zerg, you can 1-tap light units and 2-tap heavy units consistently. There are several Zerg methods for this build, starting with getting cloaked. Upon a revive, you will have 80 Zerg to do damage with. Second one is getting a health shot from a light SWAT unit, shield, or cops with Glocks and MP5s. This also gives you the breakpoint you need. Third is Molotov, either yours if your team is packing stun grenades, or your teammates if they have one. Do what I did specifically and you will get your Zerg. While you have 2-shot armor and 20 to 35 dodge, you still need to be careful with this build. There is no surefire ace and lock and load basics, so charging out on the open might get you killed. Play carefully, aim well, and you can feel the damage buff to the full effect. This thing shreds everything, and 5.7 can deal with shields, wallbang dozers, and secure Zerg from shields. Next one is Lions Roar, which I tested with a Sicario build. Not much to say about it, except for the fact that I went toe-to-toe in terms of kills against a Zerg Sniper Armorer player and against a KSP player. Once again, 5.7 is my backup weapon of choice. Now, before I give my suggestions, I want to briefly touch on AR usage on high difficulties. ARs are often used for their cheap to build nature and their overall ease of use with good range. No matter how you build it, ARs always does their job just fine. One thing you may realize is that I have 5.7 backup on Bootleg, Gecko and Lions Roar. This is normally a bad idea because of a very simple reason. Bulldozers. Normally if you need to kill a dozer with a 150 ammo AR, you will shoot him a lot and pray for crits. Bulldozers are a black hole to the 150 ammo AR and 5.7 combo, because they spawn in pairs, and minigun and medic dozers ignore the 3 maximum bulldozer limit. So if you end up in a situation where you need to kill 4 or 6 dozers in a row, which happens a lot cause Overkill still didn't fix this shit. Like, seriously, fix it already. Your ammo count will not recover without help from your teammates, which just sucks. Best way to negate this downside is pair it with an SMG to keep you going no matter what you fight. and shields can be dealt with. Shock and awe, so no changes there. But Gecko and Lions Roar's damage output is buffed so much that it is ammo efficient no matter what you fight. And you have extra ammo to fall back on, so sacrificing shock and awe for a 5-7 saves you points to spend on elsewhere and lets you keep up the ammo for no downside. These two are basically the best assault rifles to use right now, and I am not joking. They are overbuffed and created a new problem for ARs had to face. There is no reason to use any other AR right now. Before I give my suggestions on what should be done to balance this out, I want to briefly touch on some major problems ARs have. There are so fucking many of them. Just think about a new player's perspective. There is like 55 or something rifles. Which one they should use? This is an overchoice phenomenon if I ever seen one. Just break them up to different categories depending on their damage and call them assault rifles, general purpose rifles, battle rifles, and DMRs. This would help everyone that wanted to find that one fucking gun they want to use and help new players understand the difference between an MCAR and M308 aside from looking at their damage. Now, on to my suggestion. I think Lion's Roar and Gecko can be made into hybrid 100 damage rifles, also called as battle rifles, and 150 ones, often called medium or low damage rifles. So, here's my proposed changes to these guns. Reduce the total ammo to 100, make their base damage 72, and reduce their ammo pickup by 10%. Just don't lower the ammo pickup too much or they will just get outclassed by battle rifles. This will put them into the middle of these two classes in terms of power and ammo economy, which will give them unique niches and breakpoints for players to mess around with. And this will be much more interesting than just raw stat buffs. Also, keep the reload speed buffs that is actually needed. There are two more changes I haven't touched yet, starting with the concealment buff on RPK. Its concealment is buffed to 5 from 1. This gun could already be concealed to some extent to use it with low blow. This was a meme strat or a build to mess around with. It had an obnoxious amount of recoil while you mod it for that purpose, and it is just inferior to the regular build RPK. But with this new buff, if you are willing to do that is, you can pair it with different secondaries or mod it slightly different to compensate for the shitty stats it will have. What I have done is this meme. It is literally a shit show, but it is a shit show that can be fun for some, so. Here's a Zerk method. What? Funks, you bitch. Okay, here's the Zerk method. I don't know, enjoy I guess. Last change is the Lebensauger buff. I don't want to talk about it that much. This one feels like a rebalance mod that you can find it on Mod Workshop. It does nothing for the guns since this gun's only problem was the reload speed. Even then, I thought it was a fine gun that had little to no recoil. I agree it is not often used that much because Contractor and Grimm exist and they reload faster. And believe me, this is the only reason they are used more aside from plus 2 or 3 points of concealment. I say just revert the changes altogether and give it an extra rate of fire. This will make it stand out from the same damage tier with a unique use case. Extra rate of fire instead of whatever the fuck this is. Will they just spam faster, react to close range threats more efficiently, such as a flanking heavy or a bulldozer, at the cost of dealing with a long ass reload? Not only it will be way more fun to use, would also make it a standout weapon with unique abilities, and which is way more fun to make use out of. Also, I want to give further feedback to the last major weapon balance changes, starting with akimbo SMG and above. If you are not using a triple SMG build, or something with an ammo bags, you are missing out on the meta. This weapon archetype is the most broken weapon right now. You can spam them, you can tap fire, you can DPS dozers, and they have a fuck ton of ammo for sustaining. Revert the changes or give the extra ammo buff to Hitman perk type instead of being a universal thing for every deck to wipe the floor with cops. Second thing I wanna touch on is the extra damage on sniper rifles at range. This is situationally overpowered, but only on ranges after 25 meters. I don't know, I feel like they perform a little too well right now, but at the same time, if cops are close to you, you won't be wiping the floor with competition, unlike akimbo SMGs. Last thing I wanna touch on is the similar ranges of all the different shotguns. Make the range of the shotguns 25 meters instead of 15, with the exception of izhma, stickout, brothers grimm, and akimbo goliaths. Not every shotgun was problematic, only these ones was. And now, since everything in this class is nerf, with range multiplier didn't balance the class up at all. These shotguns are still the best, while the rest are painful to use because of they already have their own drawbacks, which these and these ones specifically don't. Anyway, this was my feedback on the matter. What do you think about these changes? Do you agree with me or disagree? Let me know in the comments below. We may even be able to create a healthy discussion out for our beloved game that we also hate so much. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon.